Welcome back on our magical mystery tour through football time and space. Have you been enjoying the ride? We've seen the Arsenal Invincibles take on the unstoppable Liverpool side of 2020, and even Real Madrid's Galacticos of the early 2000s take on their own club from the 2010s in the CR7 era.
Uno, dos, tres.
But what's next? Today, it's the battle of the treble winners, and not just any old treble winners, but Pep Guardiola's treble winners, the Man City machine of 2023 and the brilliant Barcelona of 2009, kings of country and of Europe. Haaland versus Messi, De Bruyne and co up against Xavi and Iniesta. What a matchup for the ages. Who do you think will come out on top?
It's Manchester City's time! Manchester City season!
In 2023, Pep Guardiola became the only ever manager in football history to win the European treble with two different clubs. Man City's historic Champions League win over Inter Milan was the final victory in a dominant season. With that treble in Istanbul, Guardiola and his family celebrated a journey that started way back in 2008, when his Barcelona side lost their first game of the La Liga season away to Numancia. He had his head in his hands after that game in typical Pep fashion. But then, Barca went on a run of 22 league games unbeaten that included 19 wins and just 3 draws. The rest, as they say, is history. They would roar on to his first treble. It's quite spectacular that we are comparing two treble winning sides from 2009 and 2023, and they both have the same coach. But Pep is Pep, and the only boss to complete such a feat. Maybe that's why some call him the best manager there is and the best there ever was. What do you think? Anyway, what about these two magnificent teams? Who takes a title-winning season or a Champions League final? Back in 2009-2010, Messi was just creeping up to the peak of his powers. He would score 38 goals in 51 appearances that year, pretty much doubling his numbers from the previous season. Up until that point, the form was good and the sparks of magic were clear. But Pep's treble-winning side of 09 finally saw a young Messi become clinical and consistent, and his numbers began rising to the extortionate, where they would soon remain for well over a decade. Messi was in good company at Barca though. The likes of Samuel Eto'o and Thierry Henry were pretty nifty marksmen in their day. The team certainly did not want for goals. Pep's 22-23 City team had a new recruit in their ranks, Erling Haaland. In the Community Shield, just before the league season began, City were defeated by rivals Liverpool, and something incredible happened. Erling Haaland missed an open goal, a chance you would probably guarantee that he would score, but he didn't. However, he reacted to his own misfortune with a wry smile, and there was quite frankly a haunting glimmer in his eye, a warning to defenders up and down the country that what had just happened was a complete anomaly. He was being written off by some, but he was certain of his own credentials. Like Messi at Barca, Haaland had fantastic teammates at City, but he would go on to score 52 goals in 53 games in his debut season. The missing part of the treble machine up until that point? You bet. Of course, Pep's football has a style and formula that he has carried close throughout his career. Famously labelled tiki-taka by fans, over time, things have evolved. Teams, we suppose, have become accustomed to his style of play, and he has to adapt his style to keep tactics and attacks fresh and unpredictable. His Barcelona team of 09 was the original tiki-taka side, a team built of elite technical players. They expertly exploited shapes and systems with their individual skill and collective movement of the ball. They weren't a particularly big or strong team. Messi, Xavi, Iniesta to name a few of course don't get near 6 feet tall, but they managed to play teams off the park with their passing triangles and fantastic off-the-ball pressing. Teams couldn't even get out of their own half against this Barca side, and when they got their chances, their quality in front of goal was unmatched. Pep has created a similar beast with City. We saw in the latter stages of the 22-23 Champions League, for example, how he used centre-back John Stones as an extra man in midfield. A tweak perhaps we didn't see at Barca, giving City numeric superiority in the centre of the park and making it more difficult for teams to counter-attack. His game has evolved. Haaland himself is a big tactical change for Pep. A big striker that can receive long passes and hold up the ball isn't something that Pep is associated with or used a lot before at Barca. He might have done so with Zlatan, but they kept falling out. Anyway, that's Zlatan. The point is, Barca 09 were so good and their style so new that they didn't have to adapt as much. But 13 years on, teams have set up more and more to counteract Pep's style of play. Pep's teams love to play out from the back, slow build up with the ball on the floor, progressing pass by pass up the pitch, drawing the opposition in. But now certain teams have seen this. Cue Erling Haaland, the ultimate antidote. City have used Haaland to beat the press with one direct pass. They can pick the Norwegian out with ease, and he is the best at holding up the ball and bringing City up the pitch. Haaland as an outlet and Stones as another midfielder are key tactical tweaks in Pep's system. Perhaps weapons that the new City have that the old Barca didn't. Extras that Barca 09 didn't need. Do you think this gives City the edge in a head-to-head battle? Or do you think it just shows how good Barca were back in 09, that they barely even needed a plan B to win the game? These sides don't have clear weaknesses. For City, you might suggest that it's the ability to feel the pressure on a big European night, but they certainly managed to break that rut in 22-23. Although, for a few moments in the final, Inter certainly had them on the ropes. Barca's bench in 09 certainly wasn't half as good as City's currently. For example, in the 09 final, as in other games, they were playing Yaya Touré as a centre-back. Perhaps not a weakness, but a makeshift partner to Puyol in that position for sure. City absolutely smashed their way to the FA Cup in 2023, beating Chelsea and Arsenal along the way and rivals Man United in the final. They scored tons of goals that year and barely conceded. Barca won the Copa del Rey with an emphatic 4-1 victory over Bilbao back in 09. In Europe, Barcelona won their group relatively comfortably and smashed Lyon and Bayern Munich in the knockouts, blew them away. Chelsea awaited in the semis, and eventually Barca got over the line with a 1-1 aggregate victory on away goals, a rule that doesn't stand today. The victory was one of great controversy as Chelsea felt cheated out of multiple clear penalties. A stunning strike from Andres Iniesta late in the second leg sealed a place in the final, and Manchester United were no match for Barca in Rome. An early Eto'o sucker punch and a beautiful header from Leo Messi late on did the damage. The Argentine wizard seemed to float in midair as time stood still and Barca were crowned treble champions. City went completely unbeaten in Europe and made light work of Dortmund, Munich and even holders Real Madrid, who had beat them the season before. They seemed nervy in the final against Inter, but in the end they met their destiny too. In the league, City brushed off Arsenal to win the title by 5 points with a total of 89. Barca back in 08-09 scored 87 points, 9 more than second place rivals Real Madrid. We think that the level of attacking football on show in a matchup like this would be just incredible, second to none in fact, and levels of passion would be high. Imagine 2 Pep Guardiolas on one touchline, the cameras wouldn't be able to stay off him. We think City just edge a league title here, where both sides bring out the best in each other and end near the 100-point mark. But in a European Cup final, we think this Barca side, led by Messi Magic, would take advantage of any City second thoughts. But what do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and hit the subscribe button to stay tuned for the next video.